My unfortunate investment was with cryptocurrency, Bitcoin. Yeah, and I followed it for a little while, mid 2017. Looked great. Invested some money into it late 2007. Just following the crowd, as you do, you talk to the taxi driver, you talk to your friends. They're all making a fortune on Bitcoin. Yeah, let's have a go. And as you know, it's in a position now where it's kind of 58% down in value. So we don't feel quite as good as we did at that point. It's a consumer trap. And, I think we all kind of fall into that trap. And we go after what seems to be that instant reward.
Hello, fellow risk takers, and welcome to my worst investment ever. Stories of loss to keep you winning. In our community, we know that to win in investing, you must take risk. But to win big, you've got to reduce it. My name is Andrew Stotz from A. Stotz Investment Research, and I'm here with featured guest Ralph Woodcock. Ralph, are you ready to rock?
Ready to rock, Andrew.
All right. Let me tell the audience a little bit about you. Ralph is a partner with St. James's Place and based in Shenzhen, China. Ralph is a ACIS member of the Chartered Institute for Securities and Investment and has worked in the offshore financial services industry for over 5 years. He is very passionate about delivering tailored and holistic solutions to his clients and committed to building long-term relationships by providing a source of trusted advice dependent on their financial needs. Ralph is also an active member of the expatriate community in China. Ralph's focus is on ensuring his clients receive the best help possible, providing expertise with the design and implementation of customized investment solutions. These goals can vary from wealth management, retirement planning, education planning, or specialist insurance needs. Ralph believes that investing doesn't need to be complicated, and it's up to St. James's Place to make it simple and transparent. Outside of work, Ralph likes to spend time with his family, explore the historical landmarks throughout China, and visit their many hidden treasures. Originally from England, Ralph also enjoys following the Premier League and Formula One racing. Ralph, take a minute and fill in any tidbits about your life.
Thank you, Andrew. Yeah, as a Brit moving to China, it's obviously very exciting. Big cities, lots of opportunities. But I think if I just fill in about St. James's Place Wealth Manager and what we bring to the offshore market, we bring qualified advice from the UK. We work with our clients here in China, and especially clients looking to invest for the long term. It's really what we do.
Fantastic. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're in China and you're thinking about it, or in southern China, because Ralph just mentioned that he mentioned that he's looking after Shenzhen and Guangzhou. Ralph is someone to check in with about your financial stuff. It's time to share your worst investment ever. And since no one goes into their worst investment thinking it will be, tell us a bit about the circumstances leading up to it, and then tell us your story.
Okay. So my story about my unfortunate investment was with cryptocurrency, Bitcoin to be precise.
What's that?
Oh,
Oh yeah, cryptocurrency.
And I followed it for a little while, mid 2017. Looked great. Invested some money into it late 2007. Just following the crowd, as you do, you talk to the taxi driver, you talk to your friends, and they're all making a fortune on Bitcoin. Yeah, let's have a go. And as you know, it's in a position now where it's kind of 58% down in value. So we don't feel quite as good as we did at that point. It's a consumer trap. And, I think we all kind of fall into that trap. And we go after what seems to be instant reward. For me, I've learned my lesson. I'm not a stock picker. I certainly don't want to buy assets so volatile again. The story that I want to pass on to all my fellow expatriates around the world is, make sure we understand the assets we're investing in and how something that looks so good can fall over, and we regret that.
It's an interesting point, because the number one mistake that I find people make in all the interviews I've done is that they don't do their research. However, in the case of cryptocurrencies, it's really hard to do your research
Mm.
because there's very little to grab onto. And you could, if you're a chartist, a person who's looking at the price chart going up and down, you may say, well, I'm going to look at these price charts and I'm going to make some kind of conclusion. But if it's somebody saying, oh, I'm investing because it's a store of value, as an example, well, the volatility in it makes it a really difficult store of value. If somebody's saying, I'm going to do it because it is going to be the future of currency, then you have a lot of research to do about whether, for instance, governments will outlaw it or whether they'll adopt it and what could go wrong. And that level of research in this case is quite hard. So I think if I look at that, I know that there's a lot of people on listening that have done the exact same thing. Now, the question I want to just ask before we move on from the story is just that when you put that money in and it goes down and down and down, what is the feeling that you're feeling? And how does that help or hurt you from kind of taking some sort of protective action? Like, you know, in some cases, people have a stop loss. In other cases, people just have some other risk management method that they have. But I'm just curious about kind of your feeling process, because that's the process that a lot of people have gone through and are going through and will go through.
For my opinion, I was calculated in terms of, I put a small percentage, I put kind of, I don't know, maybe 2% of my portfolio into this investment. So yeah, it feels like I'm being kicked, you know, in the face, I suppose, in a way. But certainly, I didn't have any stop loss in place, and it was just hold on. Will it go? Will it go back? And I'm still in no man's land where I'm kind of thinking, do I come out now or do I stay? But it's got to a point where it's beyond damage limitation. I don't know if you can go beyond that, but so I'm just leaving it and watching it to see what happens.
Got it. Okay, so if we take a look at this experience, what lessons did you learn from it?
The lessons I learned from it is not to pick my own asset class. I'll give you an example. I was at an investment conference in Asia a couple of weeks ago, and I asked the guy from Schroeder how much cryptocurrency they hold in their portfolio. The answer from the fund manager was 0. So that tells you a story. The professionals from the professionals. Yeah.
And if you had heard that from him before you invested, would that have stopped you? Or was that just another piece of information and you think, I'm going to try this?
I would have probably still tried it, but I would have certainly limited the investment and put in maybe about 1/10 of what I put into Bitcoin.
Got it. For
sure.
Okay. Well, let me summarize what I take away from this story and let me know if I missed anything. I've talked to a lot of people that have invested in cryptocurrencies, and my conclusion is many of them have lost a lot of money. And the first thing is that it tends to be that different in your case, but in a lot of cases, it's people that know nothing about investing at all. And therefore, they end up going in really aggressive. And I think one of the things that I take away is that you actually did put a risk management method in place, and that is you only did it with a small portion of your overall assets. So that's one of many different risk management tools that we have, which is to move into something in a smaller position or move into something slowly. The other thing is that the problem about the cryptocurrencies is that the volatility, and I think the key thing from my perspective is that, of course, we have to have volatility over the long run, because if something's producing a steady return, it's going to be a very low return. So we do need to we do need to get volatility and try to get a return from volatility. But here, in the case of the cryptocurrencies, the volatility is just so massive that it's just such a high risk. And the final thing that I take away that is something that people ask me, and of course, I've studied finance all my life. I've worked in finance all my life. I have a PhD in finance. And people ask me, can you give me some idea about, the cryptocurrencies? And I say, it's beyond my qualification.
Wow.
and some of them get the joke, as in it's also beyond yours, but some of them don't. And then they go and invest. But the point is that this is a type of asset in the beginning of an asset class that's trying to establish itself, where it is very hard to come up with any real value to it. And so that's the other thing I take away from it, is that it's a lot easier to invest in things that we can come up with some rough range of value. And with the cryptocurrencies, I would say that is a very, very difficult thing to come up with. So those are my takeaways from it. Did I miss anything?
No.
All right, good. Well, for our listener, there you have it. Another story of loss to keep you winning. To find more stories like this, previous episodes, and resources to help you reduce risk, visit myworstinvestmentever.com. And as we wrap up, Ralph, thank you again for coming on the show. I know it's painful talking about our losers, but our listeners are learning to win as a result. Do you have any parting words for our audience?
I think, yeah, just sit down with a professional, whatever you want to do, whether you agree with them or not. And like you said in your comment there, you don't have the qualification to invest. If you get that, that wise attitude to come through, at least it leaves you with something more balanced than diving straight into the pool.
Amen. Yeah, I agree. Well, that's a wrap on another great story to help us create, grow, and most importantly, protect our wealth. Fellow risk takers, I'll see you on the upside.